Superman Man of Tomorrow issue 7 sees the Royal Flush Gang taken down by Saw, YouTube's #1 superhero. Perry talks with Jimmy in his office about Saw, learning the photographer is quitting the Daily Planet to work as Saw's personal photographer. Jimmy defends Saw, saying that he's just as legitimate as Superman and his media presence is an attempt at transparency, and it is a good thing. Perry thinks it's arrogant and knows Jimmy loves the Daily Planet more than anything, but the boy says he can't love something that doesn't love him back, and he's watched Clark, Lois, and even Steve Lombard get recognition, where he's been stuck getting coffee for years and works just as hard as them. Perry knows he's comparing himself to Pulitzer Prize winning reporters, wondering if the boy thinks he's at their stature, and Jimmy says he could have been as he leaves. As he takes his things to his bike, Superman comes to see him, telling the saddened boy that everyone at the planet knows how important he is. Jimmy knows the people in charge don't, and that's usually how it breaks down. Superman knows what he's going through and respects him trying to find a better job, but he knows working for Saw isn't a better alternative, since there is something off about how he operates. Jimmy cuts him off, saying that he appreciates his friend looking out for him, but for people his age, they keep trying to use the same roadmap the last generation used for success, but times have changed and Saw is trying to do things his own way, and he wants to try that as well. Superman says that he respects Jimmy's choice as the boy rides off, saying if he has any trouble, he'll always have his signal watch. Weeks later, Clark grabs a hot dog from Stanley, but upon overhearing Saw is battling Killer Moth and Firefly in Suicide Slums, he quickly ditches it and takes off only to arrive late and finds Saw has defeated the villains. Saw says that he's always running late, wondering if he should make that his new nickname. Superman asks why the Gotham villains are there, learning one of Saw's commenters said the consensus was that Metropolis is softer on crime, and both villains thought they might make easy money there, but joke's on them since Metropolis now has two heroes. Superman questions why Saw hasn't taken him up on his offer to meet when the cameras are off, thinking it quite rude, but Saw says that he wants to share all his details with his viewers, like Superman does with Lois Lane. Jimmy is there taking pictures, calming both of them down and wanting to get a photo op between the two heroes. Later at Saw's studios, Saw says the pictures and videos Jimmy is taking make him feel like a legit hero, even garnering attention from Booster Gold, who wants tips. Jimmy knows the coffee table books they will make will sell well, but Saw says that's just the beginning, wanting to turn them into everything from puzzles to posters to comics. Jimmy likes that idea, but says he has more pictures that provide a little more of a narrative. Saw continues laying on praise to Jimmy as the boy flips the whiteboard, showing Saw the whole story, which shows the supposed hero paying off mob bosses and other villains to lose to him. Jimmy explains he wasn't spying on Saw for Superman, this was his idea and he came up with the pieces really quickly, learning the hero was getting villains from outside Metropolis and paying them appearance fees and buying them lawyers when they lost. As Jimmy tells Saw this, Superman visits Firefly and Killer Moth, learning of the hero's crimes. He speeds off as Jimmy knows a villain one day wouldn't play ball, so Saw has been hiding away money for whomever that would be, calling Saw an arrogant narcissist. Saw angrily asks how he's meant to be a hero in Metropolis when Superman cleans up everything, and he was going to do this only until Superman saw that he could handle things. Jimmy knows the man only wanted glory, and Superman tries to deal with all problems, not just the flashy ones, and there's plenty of work for everyone. You just have to be willing to take what is there. Jimmy tells him, like Superman, he has to do the right thing when everyone is looking, as well as when everyone is not looking. Activating the signal watch, Jimmy says that he knows all of this because Superman is his best pal. Later, after Superman beats Saw, Perry pores over the photos Jimmy took of their fight, thinking it to be a hell of a story he would have let the boy work on had he told him. Jimmy thinks, however, he might have given it to one of the Pulitzer Prize winning reporters instead. Jimmy knows he had to prove himself that he could do this, apologizing if he disrespected Perry, but he did mean a lot of what he said. Perry shakes Jimmy's hand, saying next time he quits, his job won't be here, but this time he did good work, so he's going to get Jimmy a cup of coffee for a change. As they go off, Jimmy knows Perry doesn't know how to work the coffee machine, and Perry says that he's a very observant young reporter, so he will need to make them both 2 cups. Later on, Superman battles Mongol, saying to himself he knows he's not a fighter, and he's never had to be since he always overpowers threats, but threats are beginning to get stronger and crueler, and every fight looks like the aftermath of a war, and it can't be like that anymore. Heading to the planet Gatoshi, Superman visits Waska, a defector of Apocalypse who, before leaving, trained the best warriors ever seen, intimidating even the likes of Granny Goodness. Waska Wesker is impressed the Man of Steel knew who he is, but tells him not to sanitize his history. He trained killers who took the lives of millions, and he came to this world to leave all of that behind. But even if he didn't, he knows Superman's misguided optimism probably won't allow him to absorb his teachings. Superman says he doesn't have a choice since his handling of the situations has taken him as far as they can, and he can't look at the devastation anymore. Wesker goes inside his cave, knowing Superman lost his way. Superman follows him, losing sight of the man, who says he's uncomfortable with his full potential, and he's going to show Superman how stupid that is. Clark is soon overcome by magic, which weakens him as visions of his greatest enemies are shown to him. Wesker says that one of his gifts is that he can see a fighter's physical and psychological weaknesses, and Superman believes that if he has access to his full power, he'll become like the villains he fights. Clark asks what happened to him, and Wesker says that he has covered him in the bonds of Yuga Khan, meaning he has only a tenth of his power. The rest will have to be earned back or he will die. Wesker, however, knows what Clark is really after, saying he wants the assurance that he deserves the power he never had to work for. Ripping the House of El symbol from Superman's chest, Wesker says that he spends too much time absorbing pain and showing false humility to make others comfortable, meaning he behaves like a shield, but shields only protect those who hold them, reflecting shrapnel that hurts others, so it's time for him to abandon the shield mentality and fight. Superman gets to training under Wesker, undergoing the warrior's grueling training regime which soon bests the Man of Steel. Clark wants to try again, and Wesker knows that he always is. However, he might be too old to train and absorb the learning. Later, over a fire, Wesker said that if his parents sent him to Apokolips instead of Earth, Clark might have been worth something. Clark knows that from all he has learned about his Kryptonian parents, foolishness seems to be hereditary. Wesker asks why he talks like he had other parents, and Clark tells him that he was raised by a couple on Earth, who always reminded him he was stronger than others so he wouldn't accidentally hurt anyone. Clark knows his powers were a gift, and he has a responsibility to help and do no harm. Wesker knows that these are things parents can't teach, and children have to teach other children how to help one another, how to love each other, and sometimes, if necessary, hurt one another. The being says that this is what makes the female Furies so deadly. They had all of those experiences together as children. Clark thinks it almost sounds nice when he says it like that, but he rarely uses his powers to protect himself, since they were something to use to help others. The next day, the two go into town, and Wesker says that there are no more exercises for him to do. His powers should soon be coming back now as well. Powering up his energy blasts, Wesker says that Superman came to meet him at his level, but he's been holding back. Wesker proceeds to blow parts of the town up, saying if Superman can't use his powers for himself, he should use them to protect these people or watch them burn. Superman dives in front of the energy blast, told that these people have no value to Wesker and he will kill them and Superman and the other heroes who come to look for him. Wesker blasts more people, telling him to stop being a shield and fight back. Feeling his power is back, Superman hits the energy back at Wesker, using his super speed to grab the surprise being, flinging him out of town. Giving chase, Superman says he found his power, blasting the being with his heat vision. Confronting him, Superman asks if he would have killed these people, otherwise the fight isn't over. Wesker crawls from the impact crater, giving Superman his shield back and telling him that he wanted to see how far this could go, and he would have healed those he hurt, but as a teacher, he had to meet Clark where he was and take him to where he needed to go. And luckily, he did, so in return, Clark needs to listen to his words. Wesker tells Clark that the power is only as dangerous as the individual who possesses it, and Superman's heart is kind, so his power is virtuous. Superman Man of Tomorrow issue 7 was two really fantastic stories from David Welgoz that really explore different facets of Superman's character that we don't really get to see all that much. I love Jimmy's story about striking out on your own and making your own way in the world, which is quite a topical story, and the current generation should probably heed those words, as well as the story of Clark learning to open himself up to his powers. A story which felt very Dragon Ball Z inspired, right down to Clark having kind of like a weighted uniform spell put on him, which I thought was really quite cool. While I'll miss Vendetti's reporter-focused issues, I think the book is in good hands under Dave if he keeps exploring the many different facets of Superman's character and his friends' characters. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.